Tuesday night. I didn't want to have sex, though it was clear my husband wanted to. I turned him down as nicely as I could, but he asked me to sleep in our infant's room. We have a guest bed in there. I didn't fight him, I just got up and went across the hall. Last night, we just fell asleep and I woke up at almost midnight to him berating me. He said he didn't appreciate me, checking to see if he was asleep, then masturbating. Didn't happen. I was literally in the exact same position I had fallen asleep in, on my side, facing out, both hands under my head, curled up in my blanket, under the comforter. I was confused, but he was adamant. He said I had gotten up and physically checked to see if he was awake. He said I was lying on my back masturbating, but I wasn't. I was too tired to argue. The only thing I could think to defend myself was, I don't know what you're talking about. He kicked me out of our bed, and again, I'm in the guest bed. He was joking earlier today about packing my stuff and moving back in with my dad. I'm so tired of this passive-aggressive attitude. I want to leave, but I don't want to go with both kids to my dad's. Our youngest is 1, and I love him to death. But I regret deciding to have another kid with this man. He says he wants me to leave because I'm a strain on his mental health and I'm too hard now 10 years old. But if I leave, I'm taking both kids. His words. I've been a stay-at-home parent since 1 years old was born, but I'm starting a job soon. We both wanted it, as I'm always stressing about money, and he's tired of me making him feel guilty for relaxing after work. At least a 6-pack of beer daily, 12 bucks, and pack of cigarettes every other day, like $10. But he has already said if he's having to do drop off, pick up for the kids too often, I will have to leave. I'm tired of the eggshells. Things seems to be good in the most recent case for years. And then he just decides I'm too much of drag and everything I do is a reason for him to stay away. He claims I'm making him depressed. But what about me? Your best bet is to do what he says and live with the kids. This man is not fit to be a father, and much less a husband. You need to prioritize your kids' well-being as well as your own. It might be a struggle at first, but since you mentioned you're starting a job, it might be a good thing to let grandpa stay with the kids while you work and maybe focus on yourself and see where your life goes without this post-husband. But why does she have to live with the kids? If she's the stay-at-home primary caregiver, he should leave for the benefit of all the kids. She's starting work soon, so with child support and potentially alimony, she may be able to afford the house. If she can't, well, she can figure that out when it happens. If he done with the marriage, he can pick up and go. He doesn't to kick her and both kids out simply because he wants the house. That's not how any of this works legally. Do you really think he's going to willingly leave? To get out of an abusive, toxic situation, unfortunately, you usually have to be the one to run. It's very hard to drive someone else out and away. I would rather live with the kids to go to parents knowing it's free house, so I don't have to get stuck with the house payments. If he leaves, you bet bottom dollar he won't pay anything. Wow, cigarettes cost $15 here. Well, I mean, in my state. So he's spending $40 a week minimum on cigarettes and $72 on beer weekly? That's a car payment once a month and a credit card payment, any activities for the kids, part for payment and childcare, formula, diapers, etc. He's selfish. It's crazy how much they will spend on their addictions, even if they don't seem to be that far gone. He's mentally abusing you and gaslighting you. You need to get away from him. He's probably only going to escalate to worse behavior. Yeah, leave this man and try to record anything he might say against you in a degrading way. Having a hissy fit over you telling him that night was just not a good night for you and kicking out of your own bed is so childish. He's weaponizing his own problems against you, so show him what he's like when he can't. This is about you, not him. You deserve so much better. He's an abuser and an alcoholic. You need legal advice right now. You need to tell friends and family the unfiltered truth, and you need a divorce. You definitely need to never be in the same bed again. Stay far away from any situation where he gaslights you. Cry rock him and get help. I rarely commented here, but I had to say something here. So this sounds like this is an abusive relationship. It doesn't have to hit you. Psychological and verbal abuse also are abuse. Threatening to leave is also an act of intimidation. I learned that from a DV sheltered resources. I highly recommend Lindy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. I was abused psychologically, mentally, and verbally in long-term relationship. I know it wasn't okay when I was hiding things he said did from others, but I didn't think I was being abused because he didn't hit me. I was so gaslit. I started keeping written records of everything to prove I wasn't crazy. But I thought he loved me, and I loved him, so I made excuses. And to be clear, it wasn't always doom and gloom. Occasionally, there were glimpses of the beautiful romantic man I fell in love with, and those kept me going, kept me believing he was just acting like this because it was pandemic stress, work stress, depression, maybe me. This, that, whatever excuse I could make to justify to myself why I wanted to stay. Truth is, even though I thought about it, I wasn't strong enough to leave. He ended things out of the blue one day after I finally stood up to him in a minor way, after he verbally attacked me again. I took a year off from dating to heal, and I randomly found a suggestion for this book, and it finally helped me understand so much of his behavior. I'm with an amazing guy now, and I still have past trauma that occasionally manifests itself in our relationship. But he has never been anything but understanding and patient about it. No more walking on eggshells. No more waking up after a party or night. I was scared of what little thing he will be yelling at me for. No more stonewalling, silent treatments, insults, yelling, or treats to leave. I can actually bring up things I want to talk about, and they are listened to and validated, without labels immediately being flipped on me about how it's all actually my fault and I'm a horrible person. It gets so much better. I was in love, and I genuinely thought I'd spend the rest of my life with my ex. That was the best thing ever got. It's not. I understand why past me did what she did, but I feel so sad for her and heartbroken that I lost years of my life to that. Now that I know the truth, you can't stay in the relationship waiting for glimpses on the man you fell in love with. He was created for you to fall in love with, and then he goes back to being himself with just occasional enough glimpses to keep you on the hook and convinced that he will come back. Please, read the book, and if you find yourself relating to it, please leave. I had the luxury of not having children to consider. I know that, but how he treats you is how he will treat the kids when they're older too, because as Lindsay explains, it's a skewed set of values that he has that fuels this behavior, and it's usually not fixable or treatable. I had such a similar situation except I had kids. I've never heard anyone say the luxury of not having kids regarding a domestic situation, but that is such a true statement. Thank you for recognizing that, and I'm so glad you're doing better in your life. I left a 15 years old mostly verbally and emotionally abusive relationship last year, and I'm looking forward to things getting more and more better, and your comment helps to confirm my positive outlook. He keeps telling you to leave, so leave. When he goes to work, pack your bags, kids' bags, and get all the important paperwork because you never know how wasteful he will get when you actually leave. Leave, stay with your dad, contact a divorce lawyer, save as much money as you can from your job so you can get back on your feet. I'm sorry you're leaving this nightmare. Please get a job and run. Leave with a friend, co-worker, or rent an apartment as soon as you can. Leave the kids with him and don't fight for custody until you're settled. Or get a job or not, but ask him to leave. If you want to have the kids 100% custody, you can stay in the house, not work, and make him pay alimony along with child support, but it depends where you live. You're being abused, and I personally think you should call him on his bluff about you living with both children. This internet stranger is sending you the biggest of hugs. Especially since you have children, please leave and yes, take them with you. With a man like this, a few scenarios are likely to go down, if not all. Once your kids get old enough to be fully defended, they may receive the same attitudes from their dad. Past a certain age, they may join their dad in antics towards you. Do you want to live with an adult abuser and two little ones that think it's okay to act the same? Once your children are adults, you may wind up having a strained relationship, or they will continue this behavior they grow up seeing. Those are common outcomes of people who stay in abusive households with children, who was a community support and pediatric behavioral specialists back in the day. Your chances of a positive outcome, though difficult financial, etc., are much greater overall if you get the three of you out of that house and get yourself some stability.